Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Decode Cards YouTube channel. I'm here today with a Swordsoul deck profile. This is the Fusion Destiny version, not the 10U version, even though I think the 10U version is quite good. This is the version I think I would play going into a regional. So without further ado, I'll just get into it. The main deck is 42 cards. There is some stuff you could possibly cut and change around, but I think this is what I have been enjoying in my testing. So for the Swordsoul, it's free Ecclesia, free Moyi, free Long Yarn, and so it's a little bit different than quite a few of the builds out there. Is I play free Taie. So the biggest issue with this deck, if you've played it a fair bit, is you'll notice that it struggles to grind. So like, you make your Chi-Jiao, like Floor, the Blackout Trap or whatever, but then if they break the board, they tend not to kill you, but you don't tend to be able to, like, you're relying on the top deck a lot to follow up. So I kind of just wanted to max this one out to always have like the maximum sort of good draw potential on the following turn in case my board did get broken. And something that's really cool about this is it's not a non-summon effect, it's a once per turn effect. So if like you have one that gets veiled or something, it stays up, you can do it again on the following turn, which is pretty cool. Free Long Yarn. This is another one that some people play too of. I don't play the 10Us, so I need the maximum amount of Swordsoul / Worms possible to resolve the effects. And I think Long Yarn's good. Long Yarn helps you play around Nibiru and stuff like that. It's just one of the better ones because it's not a normal summon. So then obviously free Moyi and free Ecclesia. These are the best ones, obviously. You know, reveal, summon, draw a card effect. And this one is also Cyber Dragon going second, which helps us because this deck can struggle to go second because we're not playing the 10Us. So this gives us an extra line of play, and you know, it turns into any of them, which is quite cool. Also, it itself is a tuner, which comes up. We side Token Collector, so if you have Token Collector up, obviously neither player can special summon tokens, so it gets quite awkward because what do? We can't really, you know, overlay them because there's no real good rank 4s, but this is a tuner, so that helps us with that, which is very, very nice. Then we do play a 10U, we play free Vishuda. The reason for this is Vishuda is the best one going second, because it helps us play into boards because of the banish effect, and it's also a sort of monster that some of the time, because we play the DPE package, you can special summon Vishuda, and so you have like a Moyi and like Taie in hand or something, right? You go Moyi, reveal, and they imperm this. Then you can still make the Predator Plant so you don't get like stuck, which I think is pretty nifty. Yeah, and mainly it's because it's really good going second. It's an extra worm for the count, which is quite important for long discards, Moyi reveals, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I do like the 10U version, but the problem I feel with the 10U version is it doesn't really have enough in the way of follow-up, like real powerful follow-up. It doesn't draw enough cards for me. That's my problem with it, right? So just the Vishuda in this one. Then, like I said, we play DP, so we play the Garnets. This one's insane. This is the reason to play this, I believe. I don't necessarily think DP is the best thing ever, but I think this is insane. Because being able to draw 2 on the following turn is insane, because like I said, we struggle with grind situations and following up. So this helps us effectively mitigate that by just seeing 2 new cards. Dasher is pretty cool because obviously you need to have no cards in hand for this. So if we draw like a Vishuda or like a Nibiru or something, and it's us, you know, we can use Dasher's effect to special summon it, and then we can resolve this. So it's like really good in combination together, which I don't think is something that people have necessarily explained about these 2 cards paired together. This also being a level 6 and this being a level 4 has some synergy. So like Ecclesia and this randomly, for some reason you have this on the field, makes floor, and same with this, it makes an 8, so it's quite decent. They're not like horrible to draw, but they're not good to draw, right? Then, like I said, free Nibiru. This is the other reason I think this version is slightly favored for me over the 10U version, is because the 10U version can't resolve Nibiru, because, you know, you get stuck with a Nibiru, and then you can't special summon the 10Us, right? So but I think this hand trap is like particularly good because it's really high impact, and it's just good against like a large portion of the format. So like I said, this is a regional build, which we'll get to in a second as well for a couple of the cards in it. But because of this, like one of the most popular decks in the UK specifically at the moment is Swordsoul, and like Lyric Birds, and like there's always Salamangreat and stuff like that flying around. So this is really good against that. It's really good against the PK deck, which is also pretty popular. So I just wanted to play this because I felt like this is one of the hand traps that I didn't mind drawing ever, if that makes sense. Like, because it's not the word, like if you do this and they talents, it's like, oh, okay, sure, kind of sucks, but it's powerful in itself. And generally it's just, I know like it's not necessarily the best hand trap in the format, but I think it's the one that has the most spread in terms of the higher impact hand traps. Like I don't think maining Droll is right because it sucks against like some of the decks. Like obviously you don't main Token Collector, you don't main Cycle Reader, but this is sort of like a wide range of coverage, which is why I liked it. And also randomly being able to special summon a 3k off Dasher is a lot of damage, so it's pretty cool. I suppose for the other hand traps in the deck, because there are, is we play free Imburn. Like I've said in previous videos, I like this one a lot at the moment because it doesn't lose to talents, it doesn't lose to call by. We can draw it going second as the 6th. It just helps play through a lot of things, I think. I think this is the best hand trap at the moment, generically, even though it's not very high impact. I think it's just one of the better sort of standalone cards. There will be a video explaining the concept of an impact, concept of impact with hand traps for the Digger Guide series. That will be coming up. There's a lot to talk about on that one, so it'll take a little bit longer to get out, but it will be up. And then because this is a regionals build, I play Protos in the main. I don't think you should do this for a YCS, because obviously you don't know where your opponent's playing. But regionals, locals level, the OTS tournaments, which are tomorrow at the time of uploading, I think you can get away with maining this because it is a bomb that's a massive blowout against basically every deck, right? But the downside to playing it in a YCS would be that, it's like 2,000 entrants or whatever. You really would struggle to know what your opponent's playing against every round unless you knew them personally. But at a regional, past like round 2, if you're on the XO bracket or the X1 bracket, you can kind of like vaguely work out what everyone's playing, right? Because your friends play people, they tell you what they're playing. They're like, oh, I played this guy, he played this, so you can sort of be like, oh, what does he play, and that sort of stuff, and you can sort of scout the room in between rounds, just sort of ask around for information, which makes a card like this better for a regional setting. Obviously on a local setting, you know what everyone's playing because there's like 20 people. So yeah, massive blowout, massive bomb card. I think this is one of the big reasons to play this set because it's searchable in the combos and stuff, so just hugely powerful card. Definitely think it's a main deck card for a regional, probably not for ICS. But yeah, that's the monsters and hand traps. Onto the spells. So we have 3 emergence, which is basically just a rotor for the Swordsoul cards, and one of the Monster Reborn. This is really cool. Obviously play 3 emergence, there's nothing really to talk about, it's just rotor. The level manipulation thing does come up to make Yazi and stuff sometimes, and a couple of the other cards in the extra can come up with it as well. This is really cool. I wanted to play 2 of this because, like I said, the deck struggles with grind, so I kind of wanted to play 2, but obviously going first, it doesn't necessarily help us, but it is a Swordsoul name, so maybe you could play 2 of this. I don't hate the idea of playing 2 of this because I think it's really, really good for, being able to sort of be like, oh, draw for turn and play. Right? Like, I think it's just one of the more powerful cards in the deck, which doesn't necessarily get played at more than one, but possibly could, possibly should. Yeah, free Fusion Destiny for the Fusion Destiny DP package thing. Yeah, I think this card's crazy. So, like, one of the things about the Tenyu deck is you're kind of committing all in a lot of the time. Whereas I think with this is, like you make your Chi Zhao, you go to make your floor and they nib you and then you're like, oh no, activate Fusion Destiny, right? So like this is one of those like superior extenders that I think does a lot for the deck because it, like I said, it gives you the grind because it's Celestial and it gives you DPE, which is actually just really, really strong because of it coming back. So like I said, that also helps with our grind situation. We do play something that conflicts with this engine. Play 3 Pot of Desires. I know this looks absolutely horrendous when you look at it on paper, right? Because it's like, oh, there's just huge conflict because you banish the targets, you banish Protoss, all that sort of stuff. Why not just play Prosperity? So the reason for not playing Prosperity is that I don't want to ever, like, Mogi draw and it's Prosperity, right? And it's just terrible. I don't want to have to pick between my like follow-ups. This deck is consistent by itself as well, so Prosperity doesn't necessarily fix the problems with the deck, because the problem with the deck is follow-up, right? It's not consistency, it's not, any of the other real issues that a lot of decks face. It's just finding things to do on the following turn to close the game. So I played this in the same theory line as something like Salamangreat, where you resolve your combo first, and then you Desires for additional cards. So worst case scenario is you activate Desires and you banish the targets for this, and you just don't get to resolve this, right? But you get to play the game. If your hand is bad enough where you have to activate Desires first and can't resolve this, your hand sucks. You had to resolve Desires or you're losing anyway. So like, one of the conflicts of Prosperity also was Celestial draws 2, right? And then you just can't play Prosperity. So effectively that gave you an upsell, which isn't very good. Whereas if it draws you Pot of Desires, your following turn you draw 5 cards, as opposed to like 2 effectively. Because obviously it would be free, and then Prosperity you can't activate because you've drawn that turn, so it puts it down to 2, right? Whereas this lets you see 5 cards on the follow-up, which I think is really, really strong. Yeah, there is a conflict. I think the sort of thing about this is when you're trying to fix the deck's problems, there are going to be certain things you have to do which create conflicts. But, I guess that's life, right? You can't have everything perfectly. But this is fine. A lot of time you get to just activate this at the end and then resolve Desires anyway. And you're not always going to banish the 2 targets, right? Like, I know that's terrible, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. So I really like this. I wouldn't play Prosperity, I'd play this instead. If I wasn't playing this, then yeah, Prosperity is an option, but again, problems with follow-up, right? So, the remainder of the deck's just sort of, the non-last engine card, I guess, or whatever, is 2 blackout. Just the Icarus attack of the deck. The token effect's pretty cool, actually, because with tie which is another reason to play free tie in the grind situation, is you know what's on this, right? Effect cost, banish this. They Veiler this. If they a misplay is to Veiler this, because a lot of people haven't really read these cards, right? And don't know that the spells and traps have a secondary effect. So they'll Veiler this, right? Just randomly they'll misplay. They probably won't do much as the deck progresses in its timeline. Blackout effect then triggers and summons the token. And then you can keep going, right? So that's pretty cool. It makes their Veiler / Impalm very bad with this sort of like interaction with Tae, which I thought was pretty cool. And also, yeah, just plain 2. We don't want to banish it off Desires. We don't want to play 1 and not have it access to it, basically. It's a good card. Helps us out things like Mystic Mine and stuff. Unless they just activate Mystic Mine, but, such is life, right? And the last 6 cards are just, like, cards that help us going second. Dark Ruler is just insane. I don't really like droplets in this deck. I don't think you have enough cards to bin, because I think you need at least 2 cards to resolve your combo. And generally, a lot of the time for droplets, you need 4 things to send, so your hand has to be very good, right? So I just like Dark Ruler, because Dark Ruler is just straight up trading for all those cards. And I don't mind seeing it go first, because of how powerful it is, like, to help us grind in the follow-up and stuff. And then Tactics, for much the same reason. Going first. Veiler and Ash can hurt this deck sometimes, so being able to, like, see either their hand to stop their star or draw into 2 more cards helps a lot. And same thing going second, it helps us play free boards. There is some cute stuff you can do, which I'm not playing in the list currently, against Token Collector, where, they Token Collect you and you Tactics take it and make a Baguska. There is, it's very reasonable to play a Baguska in the extra deck for that. But yeah, main deck's 42 cards. I think it's really good. It's what I would take to a regional. Like I said, there's some conflicts, but you can't have everything too perfect when you're trying to fix a deck's problems. Yeah, onto the extra deck. So, Tu Chi Zhao, which is the like searcher guy. Sometimes I kind of want 3 of this. It's just really good. I want to make one every turn generally. Yeah, it's also an interaction on our opponent's turn. It helps with the Protoss start. It is the Protoss combo because it adds the Swordsoul spell, which a lot of people don't realize. If you control a Swordsoul Synchro, I think it's a Swordsoul Synchro. I'll double check that now I've said it. Or if you control a Synchro monster, so even better. You can do this, and then instead of adding just a Swordsoul monster, you can add Protoss instead. Or the shooter, but you're just always going to add Protoss, right? So, yeah, it's a really cool card. I think it's one of the better reasons to play the deck. Then for the other 8s, it's a Drag-Eye, which, if you get to do the, big combo, I'll make a combo tutorial at some point for this deck. is you basically end on Chi floor in this, and sometimes with DPE as well. This is really cool. The other, so this is a really cute interaction, which generally is, it's also something the 10U Swordsoul deck can do. Is obviously this card's effect is to reveal the top 5, right, and bounce cards equal to the number of rocks you reveal. Nibiru is a rock, so we can actually use this guy's effect as a way to help clear boards as well, because we can reveal Nibiru. It's unlikely, but it's possible. It is the sort of effect that your opponent's going to be like, guess that resolves, right? Because why would he be playing rocks in a Swordsoul deck? So it's a little interaction that a lot of people forget about, but I think that's how you win with mid-range decks, is because you're not doing the full power of a combo, you're not doing the full power of a control deck, you gotta have these like little play interactions, that technical play things that make you win games, right? So yeah, the spell negate's really cool because Mo uses the water, so it's easy to do. Draco Berserker is one of the cards that helps us kill the opponent because of the damage boosting effect. The banishing a monster effect when it activates is pretty cool as well. It's really good in the mirror match because stuff, then they get stuck with a token. Like Long Yon reveals in the hand, discards, you banish. It's pretty cool. Vishuda as well, they reveal it, you banish. It's a really hard card to play for in the mirror. I think it's just really cool. Then also Abaxia. Just one. I know a lot of lists play two, but there's something else I'm playing that I wanted to play one for because space. I play a Boral Savage. And this obviously has, it's never really played in this deck. The reason I play it is because Anaconda. So as a follow-up, I noticed that if you go on your first turn, you don't have an Omni Negate in the deck, right? There's no Omni Negate outside of floor. So I wanted a level 8 Omni Negate that I can make later in the game to help close out the grind. This deck is specifically built to help you grind, right? So we summon this, equip, we go through the plant stuff to do the link play with DP, then we make a Boral Savage later in the game to equip the Anaconda for 2 negates. I just thought that was really cool. It comes up a little bit. Obviously, it doesn't come up as much stuff like Cheese and stuff, but it comes up enough to warrant. Then on to, there's a 7, which is Yazi for helping break boards. Level manipulation stuff is pretty cool. Chao Feng for extra locky outing the game stuff. You can do, the only real way to make this is with level manipulation. It's probably not worth playing. I think this is actually what you'd cut for a Baguska. Thinking about it, so... then there's 10's floor. What is this card called? I don't know. Chen something. The level 10 Swordsoul. And Rudy Rose, this helps against the DP stuff, and it's really good for control. I kind of want to play 2 floors, so this probably also wants to be a second floor. I know you can put floor back, but there's a lot of times, again, grinding where you want the second one because it gets outed. Then 2 Monk of the Tenyi for Vishuda. You could probably cut this to 1 as well. The extra is a little bit loose in this deck, which is quite nice compared to the 10U build. Like I said, the Predator Plant, and then, I'm so sorry, but this is a proxy, I just don't have one yet. The Destiny Hero Fusion. Destroy Phoenix and Force it. So, yeah, that's the extra deck. I think, like I said, you cut Chao Feng, probably cut a Monk of the 10U as well to make a little bit of space. One of the reasons I like Chao Feng a fair bit, though, is you can add Cycle Reader and stuff post-side, but probably not relevant enough to actually warrant. So... yeah, side deck. Free Cycle Reader. Drytron is really strong, so this is obviously very helpful against that. This is dual wield, because I also side it against the PK decks post side, because a lot of them are doing the Scythe combo, and this hits lights. So, it's like a more versatile Crow post side, right? So, not a more versatile Crow, but a more powerful Crow post side, and that's kind of what we wanted. It's a tuner as well, which is a little bit useful for some stuff, but very unlikely to ever normal summon this, obviously. Free Token Collector for the mirror. It's a blowout level card in the mirror. It's because it can summon itself from grave as well. Your opponent's just never really playing through this efficiently. Outside of tactics taking a Make a Baguska, but that's not very good. So then free draw, high impact. Very good against most of the format. Free Lightning Storm, 2 Cosmic, and Imperial Order. This is to help us beat the back row decks. This is also for the Scythe combo. It's one of the ways to beat the Scythe combo. This is also very good going second against stuff like the Mirror for helping us break the board. And this obviously is just blowout power card. Mid-range decks need some blowout power cards sometime. Yeah, so that's all there is to the deck. And sorry for the long video. There's a lot to talk about with this deck because of the version differences from the regular 10U version. But yeah, the Goat Guide stuff will be up next week as well. There's the OTS Championship tomorrow, which I'm playing in. I don't know if I'm going to play this or try Lyriclisk, one or the other. There's also the Wiltshire Regional next week. I'll be there, so come say hi or whatever. Yeah, so without that, yeah, cheers guys.